Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Terence, inactive, Crawford. Yeah, you. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Like and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Let me tell you, Terence Crawford, I understand he wants the big fight with Canelo. Canelo doesn't seem to be that interested in Crawford at this time. Could be a little bit of Canelo and Crawford misleading the fans, because maybe there are negotiations that have taken place. Who knows, right? You just never know when it comes to boxing. I don't trust anything that I see, anything that I read. I just take it with a grain of salt and wait to see who actually gets into the ring. Because we've heard so much about different fights that are supposed to take place in the past, just for months to go by and those fighters end up doing something different. But the one thing I think Terence Crawford should be doing different, and it looks like he is going to make a change to the approach of his next fight, is he's not going to just allow himself to continue to be inactive. Because that's what he is right now. I know he just fought Marjamov, but before Marjamov, he was inactive. And you can understand Earl Spence in a rematch there. That created a lot of problems for Crawford. They just kind of dangled a carrot in front of him and never had any true intentions of rematching him. Then he ends up fighting Marjamov, coming off a serious layoff. And now he's back, seems to be in a holding pattern because he wants to fight Canelo. But now it looks like Crawford's accepted that he won't be facing Canelo Alvarez next. Now, Crawford's been chasing that showdown. We know why, because he wants a retirement fight with Canelo. And over the past year, before that, they were talking about Canelo fighting Spence. Over the past year, he's been trying to, talk that fight into existence and make it what I would say like an unprecedented jump. So it's 147 to 154. And then from 154, two more weight classes, 160 to 168, to go all the way up to super middleweight and challenge Canelo. Now, there are a lot of people who are saying that that's just a suicide mission. And they say that because they feel like, in August where he fought Marjamov and he was able to pick up the WBA super welterweight title, that some people felt that he struggled against Marjamov. Now, I don't think he struggled. I think he had a guy in there who was styles make fights. That is very, very difficult to fight. And Crawford, to me, was able to make it pretty simple with the jab and using angles. But what you saw in that fight, even from Marjamov, both of those guys, that was high IQ boxing. And when people come out and want to discredit Marjamov or even discredit Crawford, it's because, in my opinion, they don't know what they're looking at. Or even if they do, that's not what they want to see. They want to see two guys get into a gunfight. And that's not what you're going to get when you're talking about elite athletes and elite boxers. They're going to come in there and fight smart and try to find a way to win. But what I will say is that fight with Marjamov, in some people's eyes, it hurt Crawford's chances of going on to fight the Mexican superstar. Now, I think I see things a little bit differently. Now, Canelo's like, all right, Crawford, you're too small. You don't stand a chance if you come up here and fight me. We were at 135, 140, 147. Now you're at 154. Why would you come up a couple weight divisions? So Crawford's thing, and fight me when you're going to lose. So Crawford's thing is, okay, you went up to 175 and you lost. I went up and I won. So what the F are you talking about? And Crawford does make a point that Canelo did go up and try to be great, and he lost. And Crawford went up and he won. But I still think, that's the fact, right? But I just have a tough time drawing comparisons to Crawford, to Marjamov and what he brought to the table, and Bivol and what he brought to the table. I think Crawford has more layers to his game. That's why he was able to get that win over Marjamov. Canelo doesn't have that many layers to his game. He's not necessarily a guy who can box and then punch. Canelo has evolved his style to be, in my opinion, one-dimensional. But that one dimension is walk you down and let his hands go. He's not up on his toes. He's not catching. He's not out there, moving around the ring and resetting and shit. Like, he's not boxing. Canelo is a pressure fighter now. But that being said, I think you can really peel the layers back on that conversation about what Marjamov brought to the table as far as the challenges Crawford would face and what Bivol brought to the table and the challenges Canelo faced, and the skills that Crawford brought to the table to offset those challenges from Marjamov, and the skills that Canelo brought to the table to offset those challenges presented by Bivol. So to me, it's not that simple or that easy of a conversation. To me, that conversation can go multiple ways. But anyway, Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to negotiate with Crawford. I think even Turki Al-Sheikh is realizing, at least from what they're telling us, that, hey, we need to keep you fighting. Let's not worry about Canelo right now. Maybe that fight will come around full circle sometime next year. I personally feel Crawford needs to fight again this year anyway. And then maybe next year, February, May, that's where he can go and fight Canelo. Because Canelo's not fighting again this year. He's going to probably wait. So we just have to, but you just never know. Because Canelo is active, boy. That's one thing about Canelo, he's active. But we have to see, because Canelo beating Berlanga, that did a lot for Canelo's profile. There were a lot of people who felt that Canelo was slipping a bit because Munguia put the bing-bings on him. But you saw he ended up landing a big shot and changing the fight with Munguia. And then he came in early in the fight with Berlanga, landed a big shot. And the fight, in my opinion, was all one-sided after that because Berlanga didn't want to get hit again. So he fought defensive-minded instead of taking a chance to let his hands go. And he got to the finish line, but I don't feel he really took the risk he needed to be great. But nonetheless, Canelo retained his WBC, WBA, and WBO belts at 168. I think Canelo may be trying to pick up that IBF belt again, but one thing we know about him, he's not going to let anyone dictate to him what he's going to do, and as a result, he's open to offers, but he's not going to allow Turki Al-Sheikh to dictate try to strong arm him into a fight with Crawford, unless they make the offer so attractive to where it's impossible for him to say no. Now, despite Berlanga being out the way, Crawford could be on the verge of facing a new opponent. Now, this is the thing, and it's interesting. Sebastian Fundora, the WBO announced a 10-day extension to allow him to negotiate a fight with Sebastian Fundora. So what you may see is Terence Crawford facing Sebastian Fundora. And it was supposed to be Fundora against Earl Spence. But when you look at how everything's jumping around, right? I think they really are trying to get this to where Crawford and Spence has a rematch. That's exactly, and like if you look, everything is pointing that direction. Spence supposed to be returning. Now he's not returning. Then he's supposed to fight Fundora. Now he's not fighting Fundora. Now Crawford fights Fundora. Then Spence is going to become the mandatory. Just watch. They're trying to push Crawford and Spence into a rematch. I just think it's crazy, man. Because on August 28th, just a month and a little bit over a month ago, man, there was a negotiations issued, an order issued for negotiations to begin for the mandatory between Sebastian Fundora and Crawford. And that would help to terminate the interim champion status. And all that's per the WBO policy, man. But anyway, they were granted 30 days to strike a deal or purse bid proceedings would be called in accordance with the WBO regulations of World Championship contest. On September 30th, the WBO acknowledged receipt of an email communication by attorney Mr. Harrison Whitman on behalf of Terence Crawford requesting a 10-day extension of the negotiation period to continue discussions towards an agreement as ordered. On the same day, Sebastian Fundora's promoter, Mr. Samson Likowitz, ratified the aforesaid petition via email agreeing to the extension. Now, that's interesting. Now, remember, Fundora is the current WBC and WBO super welterweight champion after he defeated Tim Tszyu by a fluke split decision win in March, because I think Tim Tszyu would have beat him if he didn't get have that hole put in his damn head. But the big thing here is there was a attorney on behalf of Terence Crawford who requested a 10-day extension of the negotiation period to continue discussions towards an agreement as ordered with Sebastian Fundora. So there you go, people. Crawford and Fundora is going to be on. And those aren't Hood Champions words. This article while I was talking to you, I pulled up, I just read through that shit. So there you go. Terence Crawford inactive. Look, I think he should be fighting 3 times a year, man. But going into a fight with Fundora, it looked like they intentionally kept Fundora inactive. But we're gonna see. I just think that's a tough fight for Crawford. Fundora's long. He's staying behind his jab now. And I think no matter who he fights, if he can sit there and fight like Klitschko, both of those Klitschkos and Lennox Lewis, stay behind that jab, Fundora has a good chance to beat all these guys. So it could be an upset brewing. I know people are like, oh, nah, Fundora got knocked out by Ocampo or whoever the hell it was. You'll hold your horse and stop taking it to the stupid. Y'all better sit there, man, and understand what the hell's going on with the Towering Inferno. He learned something in that Tim Tszyu fight about that jab that he had. And I tell you, the man has an 80 goddamn 3-inch reach. Crawford's reach is like 74 inches or something like that. That's a problem. That's a problem for anybody, even Crawford. Okay, if Madrimov can hit Crawford with like 3-4 consecutive right hands, I think it was 5 right hands, right? If he can hit him with 5 consecutive right hands, why can't Fundora out-jab Crawford? So this is going to be interesting to see if Crawford is getting old or if he has the IQ and skill set and Bomac can put together and devise the proper strategy for Crawford to get beyond that jab and reach and get inside and go to work. Now that's what's going to be interesting. Because remember, Crawford has long arms too. I think his reach is like 74 inches. So Crawford has long ass arms too, but he don't have no 83-inch reach. Anyway, y'all keep cool. And active Crawford look like he's about to get active. And looks like it could be against Fundora. But I still don't like how much time it is. August. I just don't like all that time in between fights for Crawford. But anyway, y'all keep cool. More to come in the breeze.